Cheers, everybody. How's it going? I've been on a bit of a nostalgia trip lately when it comes to 2016 because it's been 10 years since then, and I've been thinking about the games I played back then and how important they were to me. And I just wanted to basically talk about 2016 and the gaming landscape and how it's changed over the course of time. I have a couple of games here that mean a lot to me that I put down and I wanted to talk about. And it's mad how many of them are still relevant to this day. Like, of course, obviously, I'm going to start with my second favorite game of all time, Stardew Valley. Like, I've talked about this on shorts before, how much I adore this game. This game, I didn't get it in 2016, right? I got it when it came to Switch. So, should I be talking about this? I don't know. I just want to talk about it, right? Stardew Valley was such an important game to me, man. It was just so chill, and I loved everything about it. It's the only farming sim game I ever kind of liked. You know, I tried Animal Crossing. I wasn't the biggest fan. I can't lie, the day to day system where I have to wait really annoys me. It's the same problem I have with gotcha games, which is why I don't play many of them. I only play one. I tried two. In fairness, I did try two. I tried Honkai Star Rail back in the day, but haven't gone back to it and I don't plan to. But I think that the whole system of gotcha games I get into later with Overwatch when I do talk about that. There's so many elements to 2016 that are now important now and how things have evolved or changed. Like, obviously, we got the indie scene. And Stardew Valley is a big indie game. You know, it was developed by one guy. I think he has a team of people now, but it was one guy at the beginning, right? And to have such a great game be developed by one person is incredible. Like, I love Concerned Apes' work, and it's why I'm so excited for, Haunted Chocolatier. Now, I'm not in any rush to get it because I don't want it to be bad. I want it to be good, so I'm very patient with it, and because I still love Stardew Valley, and even when I feel sick of it, I take a little break. I come back to it, and it's like it's brand new again. Do you know what I mean? It's the sort of game that just never gets old for me. I don't know what it is compared to everything else, but I just love it, and I always will. I think it's something that I don't think I'll ever lose that love for. I don't know what it is, man. I really don't. I do a run every year. I go do a run of Stardew Valley every single year, right? And I do new things. Sometimes I just do the same thing. Like, sometimes it's mad when I'm like, oh, I had great fun. I'm like, I've done this for like 10 years in a row. Do you know what I mean? I think when I first started playing the game, I just fished for like 2 years in game every day. I was just having fun doing that, and that's all I did. And I still didn't get any of the legendary fish, man. And I still haven't. I've only gotten like one or two. You know, I just do the same shit and I enjoy it, and I kind of have fun finding out new things about different characters. And then when new stuff drops, I get it. I remember when I got the Galaxy Sword, I was so happy about that. And increases in. I still haven't gotten to the end of Skull Cabin or anything like that. I haven't gotten to do many of the big achievements, but I still enjoy it. It's a game I still find new stuff to do every single time. And then when the multiplayer came out, instant possibilities. You know what I mean? There's always more possibilities when the multiplayer landed. You know, you can play with friends, have a lot of fun. There's been a lot of funny jokes with the lads and giving them wood and stuff at night and things like that. Been a funny old joke when it comes to that, and the ability to do that stuff is quite hilarious. In fairness, there's no real limitations on what you can do with your buddies, and it's quite fun, but saying that, for as much as I love Stardew Valley, there were some great actual like AAA games, I suppose is how you'd say it, back in 2016. One big thing that I've actually played way more now than I did in 2016 is Pokemon Go, man. Like, when you think of Pokemon Go, how big that is now and how big that was in 2016. Now I'm playing it more than I was then. I wasn't really interested in it then, but now when I'm on my walks, sometimes I'll just hop on Pokemon Go. There's a Pokestop fairly close by. You walk there, you do your Pokestop, you walk back. It's pretty handy. I'm not too invested in like the system and the raids. I just do it for a bit of crack. And now that it's so well integrated into the Pokemon system, it's great fun. I can catch a few shinies. It's really cool, and it's like it is one of those kind of games where you do a bit every day, but it just feels right. You feel productive because you're going for the walk, but also you can put those characters that are those Pokemon that you catch into the other games. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, even now with Champions, that's why I think Champions is such a good idea, because with Pokemon Go, you're just able to catch loads of them. Like, originally it was the 151, and I'm a big Sinnoh guy, because it was the first generation I played. So obviously when they added more Pokemon, it became more enjoyable to me, and I could get the shinies of different Pokemon I like. Like, my friend caught a shiny Chimchar and he gave it to me. He brought it through home, and then he gave it to me for my playthrough of Scarlet. That was great crack. That's something we wouldn't have been able to do if we didn't have Pokemon Go, because it makes it really easy to get the shinies, and it's great fun that way. And you can turn it into live events, you know what I mean? And I know I don't know how the scene is now because I only do it with friends at this time of my life. But man, I remember going to a couple of events and they were just great fun. People get together. It really feels like the Pokemon anime in a lot of ways. And I know there's a lot of problems with it now, who owns it and different things like that. But I'm talking about over the years, and I've increasingly used it more and more. And I know, same as every monetizational game, it has its own problems. But I do think the general mechanics of Pokemon Go are a great system. Do you know what I mean? Encouraging people to walk is never a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and if Pokemon does that, it's great fun. There's a lot of these things. Now, one game that I've fallen off of instead, that I find I've fallen off of quite heavily, is Overwatch. I loved Overwatch, right? As you can probably tell by how I speak, I'm a very single player game guy. I love my RPGs. I love my story based games. If you look at my top games, some of the only multiplayer games on it would be Stardew, I suppose. Although I consider that a single player game mostly, and probably Smash Bros. Ultimate because I played so much of it during COVID with my friends. And to be honest with you, Overwatch was one game I played with everybody. I loved Overwatch back in the day. For the first 2 years of Overwatch, I played so much of it. But it just doesn't hit the same anymore. It just doesn't hit that same love I used to have for it. Like, I can't remember when I stopped playing. I don't know when it was. It was before the update anyway, as far as I remember. But I just haven't gone back to it. I've tried many times, but I just don't have any interest anymore because I find when it comes to Overwatch, once you've dropped something as big and as complex and competitive as Overwatch, going back to it is so hard because you have to relearn stuff. Some characters have changed. I really don't know how to feel about that. You know what I mean? Like, because I did love it. I was a big D.Va main. One of the funniest things, right? I'm still embarrassed about this to this day, right? When one of my first Comic Cons, I think it was my second or third one. I was still a young kid, and I went with my friend and my mother. And I went to my mom, oh, I want this. I play this character in Overwatch. And it was a picture, it was like one of those scroll posters of D.Va. Bro, it was, oh man, brutal it was. Oh, it was so brutal. And no one pointed it out to me. Obviously, I was fucking stupid. I can't imagine how my mother felt looking at that. No, she let me buy it. Do you know what I mean? But holy Christ, how embarrassing it was. I should have it somewhere. If I ever find it, I'll showcase it in a short or something to embarrass myself. But Jesus Christ, oh, it was a brutal one. It really was. But I did love it. I did. I played a lot of it with a few friends. I still don't talk to this day. I haven't hung out with in ages, man. It brings back a lot of nostalgia, with that and Black Ops 3. But unfortunately, we're not talking about Black Ops 3 today because that was 2015. But man, that game was so good as well. Like, it really was. Black Ops 3 has probably aged better than Overwatch in the sense that I still love going back to that every now and then with a few lads. It's great fun. Like, I don't know. That's probably the last Black Ops game or the last Call of Duty game I ever enjoyed was probably Black Ops 3. That game was so good. So, so good. Do you know what I mean? And obviously we talked about Storm previously, man. Storm 4 was great. It was the penultimate Storm game, the end of the Storm series for me. And it was just so nice. And it was the first time we got to see Naruto versus Sasuke. It was not out yet in the anime, as far as I remember. Because the anime only released it in 2017. So Storm 4 was the end of the series for fans of Naruto, for a lot of us, especially English fans who wouldn't have read the manga. Storm 4 was our ending to Naruto. In a lot of ways, that made it a bit lackluster because they ended up switching to slideshows instead of the animated cutscenes that they've been doing for previous games. And that was very disappointing. And they still do that to this day. And it does frustrate me, right? Because I do love the old Storm games where you have CyberConnect 2 really putting the effort in and really showing their love. Like Storm 3 is basically a fully CyberConnect 2 animated game, and the same with Kakarot got it later on. So I hope eventually Naruto will get that same treatment, a Kakarot level treatment, because man, in fairness though, the final fight with Sasuke did feel very cinematic, and I did love it in the game, and it was great, and that's the thing. When it mattered, they did put the effort in. They did show just pure class. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was genuinely just a fucking amazing game, and it's unfortunate how things went with Storm Connections, right? Because Storm Connections kind of tempered the legacy of the Storm series. It wasn't as great. The story wasn't as great. The netcode wasn't great. Just in general, it just felt like a cash grab. But I will always remember how great Storm 4 felt when playing it. Because for as much as people shit on arena fighters, man, sometimes it's nice to have a bit of fun with your mates playing as characters you want to play as. You know, that's why gacha games are so successful, unfortunately, is because people love that shit. And when we used to get fully fledged games to be able to do that, that was where it was at. That's why I hope that industry never dies. You know, and we still get good ones. I mean, look at All's Justice. That mechanically wise, All's Justice looks really fun. Hinakami 2, I've played a little bit of over in a mate's house. That seems really good. Like the genre is evolving, and I think we can trace it back to Storm 4 and its impact and its sales. So we have a lot to thank when it comes to Storm 4. I mean, it's the same team that worked on Hinakami Chronicles and, you know, changed that genre with that game. And obviously they did Kakarot. CyberConnect 2 are doing some amazing stuff, you know, and if they do get that JJK game that's being rumored, that'd be just fucking nice, wouldn't it? Be really, really cool. But obviously there's a couple more that have had a big impact on me in general. One thing I really loved, game I like, we're talking, 2016 was the end of a lot of franchises, at least in my eyes, right? We got a spin-off game of this back in the day, or later on, like in 2018. But in 2016, we got the release of Uncharted 4. Holy Christ, man. This is why I bought a PlayStation back in the day. I remember playing Uncharted in like a friend's house, and like I was with my dad as well. And my dad was like, bro, this shit is sick. Like he knew this shit was good. And you know, obviously, a lot of parents, they don't, when you're a kid, they don't like you playing games because they think, what are you going to get out of it? But man, everyone I knew loved Uncharted. It just looked so cool. It looked like a movie. You know, even the adults were like, oh, this shit is crazy, right? Everybody loved it. And I think that's one thing about Uncharted. It just felt like an action movie. And I know a lot of people say, oh, but who cares about that? Like, what, like, but the thing is, action movies, and for like being able to live through an action film, feeling like a hero and having that mystery element and that character element, as a kid, it's really enjoyable. Then as an adult, you can enjoy the jokes, you can enjoy the humor, and you can enjoy the character interactions. Do you know what I mean? So you have the feeling of being able to be one of those action heroes, being that Indiana Jones style hero, while having the wisecracking energy of like your uncles and shit, and just having the crack and finding treasure. You know, it's just cool, man. It's just really cool. And obviously, we grew up with Nathan Drake. He was a big part of everyone in my generation's kind of love for video games. So to have it end in such a sweet way, and honest, it was a very sweet ending to get him to see to live his happy ending. So I'm very happy with that. I never did get to play The Lost Legacy, so you know, it is what it is. But also, man, it was incredible to see when we had scenes like him and Sam going on the boat, or him and Sam and Sully on the in the desert. Like that stuff when it came out was like some of the most incredible visuals I have ever seen in video games. Like it just made it look like next level. This is movie quality stuff, which we don't get anymore because like games have looked like movies for years. Do you know what I mean? Like we basically got a playable Spider-Man movie back in the day in 2018. Like it's gotten to the stage where these things look like movies now. These things look photorealistic. We don't need any more. As I was saying before, I haven't needed to get a 4K system in forever because I've just been having fun in 1080p. 1080p is good enough for me. Like I got to see Ragnarok in the quality that looks fantastic. I got to experience, you know, Spider-Man. I got to experience Breath of the Wild. I got to experience Xenoblade 3. You know, I got to experience all these amazing games that just look amazing at 1080p. But 1080p was new back in 2016, or at least to me anyway. And to see that level of quality in a video game at that stage with that level of realism was insane. And I feel like Uncharted 4 took the best advantage of it. And to have, and I know a lot of people have like fatigue of the wisecracking characters, you know. But back then and even now, I still enjoy that, man. It's just a bit of fun and I like it. You know, it feels down to earth because it feels like the people you know, because I know a lot of wisecracking people. I know a lot of people who like to make stupid jokes. I'm one of those people. I love making dumbass jokes that half the people don't laugh at, but I enjoy, you know what I mean? Just about having a bit of fun. I get that vibe from that game, but also you get to beat the shit out of people and find secret treasure. Like that's, you know, it's pretty cool. And especially when I was younger, the fact that like my dad also liked it. It was like, oh, yo, this is my dad's, You know, it was like my dad likes my hobby. This is cool, and he likes Nathan Drake. I like Nathan Drake, man. It's so cool. You know, it was a way to connect outside of football, even though football is still fucking sick. FIFA 2016, man, I actually don't remember. FIFA 2017, though, very good, very good. I do not remember FIFA 2016 at all. FIFA 2017 was like Rice, and then from Dortmund, wasn't it? Rice from Dortmund, and then FIFA 2018 was Ronaldo. But I don't remember 16's one at all, to be honest with you. I don't even remember the song. So that one, All Night by Avicii was in it. Because if that was that one, I do remember that song. Oh, that got me into that song. So nice. That and a Minato, Minato AMV. Oh, bro, remembering AMVs from that era might even, it will bring me to my knees. I won't lie. It'd be over for me. It really would. But I think there is a couple of more games. Obviously, we got Xenoverse, and we've got like, oh my god, I have a list here to remind me of what games to talk about, because I need to remember what came out in 2016. Right? Forgot Pokemon Sun and Moon. It was the 20th anniversary of Pokemon in 2016. Like Pokemon Sun and Moon was huge for me growing up. Like, I was like, oh, I gotta see the 20th anniversary of Pokemon. This is cool. Look at Red and Blue, man. And I felt like there was a brand new system. I got my 3DS for it. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Do you know what I mean? So cool. And this still annoys me about Ultra Sun and Moon, man, is that the story is still not as good as Sun and Moon was. Sun and Moon was incredible. The story with Lucy, I mean, you felt so much sympathy for Lily, man. It felt like an actual story. It felt like they were bringing you back to Gen 5 with a proper story. Lucy was a compelling villain. You got to fight Kukui at the end. Kukui was such a cool professor, by the way. Probably the coolest professor by far. He just got so much suave to him, man. And his battle theme. Man, that's one thing. I'll never complain about Pokemon when it comes to the music. The music is always next level. They never fuck with the music, man. That's why I wish it was on Spotify. Because it would be incredible stuff, man. Now, obviously, it was a bit slower on the older systems, but then when the new 2DS came out, it ran pretty well, and you're able to experience it in proper quality. But man, it felt like Pokemon was in a different era back then, and the 3D games just haven't felt the same. That's why I'm hoping, that's why I'm happy about ZA and everything, and kind of the build up to that level of quality again. I can't wait. It felt like we got everything in Sun and Moon. You know what I mean? And Megas were there. I can't. And then we got Z moves. Z moves were kind of whack. I won't lie. Z moves were kind of whack. But outside of that, the change in systems and the change from gyms, they did try to kind of change the system, but do it in a way where it's still kind of similar. So I still enjoyed it, and I still kind of fell in love with it. And that was the prime of the anime as well, wasn't it? That was when Ash Greninja came out and everything, man. Oh, Ash Greninja, man. As a kid, I would lose my mind. Oh, bro, I was such a weirdo as a kid, man. I was so hyped about like Ash Greninja and a warship, and I was like, oh my god, come on, I need this, man. I was so excited. I was so invested in it. But it was so funny and so much fun. I just remember talking to my friends about it when the final episode of X and Y came out. Bro, what a fucking dork, like, genuinely. But at least it was good fun, and I enjoyed it, and I still think about how cool that season was. Oh, man. Yeah, peak Pokemon, it really was. Oh, great stuff, like. But I think the final game I have to talk about today, honestly, is Persona 5. Now, I didn't get to play Persona 5 in 2016, but it did come out in 2016. So I do want to talk about it. Man, like, I've fallen deeply in love with the Persona series now. I've played 4, I've played Reload, I've played Royal, and I do really enjoy it, and I love it to bits. But man, the feeling with Persona 5, I feel like the more I go back to it, the more I'm going to dislike it. Because I've played 4 about twice now, and I played 5 a couple of times. But the more you leave 5 behind, you feel like, oh, am I going to dislike this? Because the character writing feels a bit shallow, especially after you played Reload and stuff. But then you go back to it and you're like, oh no, it doesn't. You just forgot about things that made you feel more invested. And like being everything voiced to most of it's voiced, right? The vast majority of everything's voiced. So you're able to fully immerse yourself in the world, man. And it was just so cool. And then it felt like it was like, as I said, I say this a lot with games, I felt really immersed in it. The art style was just so cool. Like, that's the thing about games. I think this is Persona 5 was one of those games that made me understand how important art style was, because turn-based games can be slick, can be suave, and it was just so nice to play. Do you know what I mean? And the combat was cool, the character writing was sick. The only thing I will say is some of the palaces were a bit slow, but Royal fixed that. And Royal is the better version of it, but it did originally come out in 2016. And I know for a lot of people, like they just fell in love with like Persona 5. And it was such a cultural moment, I think, for the series. And to be honest, it probably did help anime get into the mainstream because it was such a popular game and people just loved it, man. And the style and the movement, man. The opening cutscene. I love this when I'm playing an anime game and they have an opening cutscene that's like an opening to an anime. You just can't go wrong with it. You really can't, because realistically, bro, when that happens, you know you're in for a good time. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm hoping Metaphor. I haven't got a chance to play Metaphor, but I'm hoping I feel the same way when I get around to it, man. I'm just waiting for that Switch port. Man, but yeah, Persona 5 was so good. And like, it's not my favorite game in the series anymore. That is Reload. And I will always have a soft spot for 4. I really love 4. It feels like I'm watching like a 2008 anime. It feels like I'm back as a kid playing, like watching Naruto again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have a soft spot for 4 that I also should have for 5, but 4 feels more nostalgic because I grew up watching those type of shows. And so 5 obviously has fallen to the wayside in my mind, but when you go back and play it and relive it, you understand how great it was. And it just makes me so excited for like 2016 or Persona 6 26. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it was my introduction to the series. And, you know, I've talked about like a few of my friends, like Persona's their favorite game series of all time. And Persona 5 was the initiator, was the starter that got them into the series. And now, you know, like it just, you've got to appreciate it, you know. And I think for JRPGs, it was a big change, a big shift. And we've gotten a lot more turn-based games since then, and it's had such a big impact. And I think that's why I'm talking about this today, because it's so important to realize how impactful like every game from 2016 nearly was on the current gaming landscape. Like, we had microtransactions basically popularized by Overwatch, which is a negative thing, and the team shooter, but like the microtransaction thing was popularized by Overwatch. Then we got like microtransactions and that crap. But another thing I will say with Overwatch though is like, man, it is the sort of thing where the lore, building up a lore from like using YouTube or things, really helps you invest in the characters. Like, that's one thing as well. When I was the shorts in Overwatch were also nearly more entertaining than the games. You know, I was investing in the storyline and the characters outside of the games. It's the same thing with like Honkai Star Rail when I was into that. That's what got me invested. But I think because that helps you get invested in the series, when you fall off and you fall behind, you just don't want to get into it anymore. You know, and I think that's happened. And I'm glad they're bringing it back, and I hope people get into it again. But like, that's what I mean. The impact of that was incredible. You know? But obviously microtransactions, you know, I can't stand that shit. You know, but then we have things like obviously Storm 4's impact on arena fighters, you know, with Hinokami Chronicles and connections. But like, there's so much things from 2016 that I love. And thinking back, like that year, I kind of met so many great people, and some of these people I'm friends with for life, and I've experienced so many great things thanks to these games and thanks to the people I met that year. 2016 was an incredible year, I think, for a lot of us. And I know it's hard sometimes to think, man, life just isn't the same. But the thing is, you won't know you're living an incredible year till it leaves you behind. So enjoy every year as it comes. Enjoy games, enjoy anime, enjoy time with your friends, enjoy time with your family, enjoy having a cup of tea. Unfortunately, I forgot to make a cup of tea for this episode, so I can't make that a segue like a fucking Egypt. You know what I'm saying? But I will say it anyway. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a great year. And with that being said, cheers, everybody. I'm out.